So the bulletin letter this past Sunday, for those who saw it, I spoke a little about, I think people are noticing I tend to be a little more of a traditional bend. I wear the cassock, like Latin, like those sorts of things. I'm not going to apologize about it. I'll be honest. And I think a lot of the younger priests, a lot of the younger Catholics in general, are feeling a draw towards the tradition of the church. There's something about it that we find. I don't know if I should say we, but I'm inclined to say we, but it's not universal. I think there's plenty of young people who don't like it. But there's something to a richness and a depth that we find nowhere else. Part of the beauty of the Catholic faith is that it's not a faith of 60 years, it's a faith of 2,000 years. There's this development over time that is a treasure house of beauty, and the music and the art and the liturgy is all developed in a way that's meant to lift us up and help us encounter God. I think one of the challenges is a lot of people look at this and say, you're just trying to go back in time. This is a false nostalgia. You think the 50s was the best time in the world. I'd be the first to say, from the stories I've heard about locked fridges and curfews and seminary, you were locked down, you couldn't go to your parents' funeral. There was lots of bad stuff, and so a lot of, I think, the attitude is those old things are associated with bad feelings, so we need to leave them in the past. But I think I know my perspective, and a lot of other younger people, is we can separate them, and we don't need to throw the baby out with the bathwater. There's beautiful stories of so many people who come into a church and encounter a beautiful liturgy and find God and find faith. There's people who want to know and understand, and all of that helps. It's not for everyone, and the church is a big thing with lots of different, room for everybody, but we can't disconnect ourselves from where we came from, because it's part of what made us who we are. I think in some parts of the church there's been a rejection of the past, as if like this is something new. But we can't lose sight of our tradition, because it develops. You're meant to develop in a way that can engage the new situation we're in. So we learn from our past. These are things that worked. Well, how do we learn from that and apply it to the present? It's very much like our own lives. We do different things as time goes on. We may look back and say, you know what, 10 years ago I used to wake up at 6 and exercise every morning. I felt a lot better. I'm going to start doing that again. I'm not going to do it in the same way because I'm older, my joints are a little worse, but I can learn something from that and apply it to the present. So I think that's sort of the approach a lot of younger guys are taking, and it's been a positive response because our world is so empty of beauty and depth and meaning. Kids are raised with, you can be whatever you want. Nothing defines you. You can leave your family, go to a different state, you meet all new people. Everything about you is a blank slate. Well then, who are you? What identifies you? What makes you who you are? What's life about? Where are you going? Our faith gives us a very solid sense of this is what you are. You can become a saint. God will transform you. And then the church is this rich community that gives us all these tools and these ways of seeing the world that make sense of it. I don't know if that is helpful. Okay. Because it's something that I know a lot of, older priests even are curious and almost nervous about. Like, is this going to be like sort of a radical, reversion? But I think our hope is, well, let's take some of the good, let's try it out, let's see how it works, And it seemed, I said a Latin Mass at a parish nearby on Sunday morning, and, there was 15 or 20-somethings there. And the last time you've seen that many 20-somethings in a church that's not too common. So there's an appeal. And we have to be careful of it. And this is where there's some priests who go overboard, and there's some young people who, hate everything new. Well, there's a lot to learn from what's new as well.